Good afternoon, Mr. Cole. How you doing?
Afternoon, Ross. Everything all right?
Everything's great, mate. A bit of a windy day out there.
Same here, but it's the rubbish is blowing up the street. You know, there's more rubbish on the street than there is in the wagon.
Right. Well, do you have the same seagull problem that we have in Cardiff Bay?
No, fair play. Not many seagulls here because luckily we don't put a lot of food out, do we? You know, it's in the brown bins. Down there, you got it in bags and everything, I would think, and it does attract. Sid the seagull is rampant down there in Barry.
Yes.
Mm.
He is. The street looks the street is quite the mess. Let me tell you this morning.
There'll be tons and tons of it today. You watch.
Yeah. So so we're back. We had a bit of a break and we're back doing these again. Today I thought we'd talk a little bit about heritage. And obviously we'll talk about poetry because that's kind of what this is about. And then we'll anything else that we wander onto, we'll pick up in the next hour.
I would think so, yes. Yeah, no problem with that.
Yeah, so like heritage, I think heritage is an important thing for everything. It's especially important to a writer. It's the DNA of where you're from. It's the memories of the past, the good and the bad, and both of which are important reminders to who we are. And I think in that sense, a society is not that different to a person. The people themselves, there's good and bad in everybody. We're all a bit like a coin. And I think heritage is like that as well. I think there's scars on the history of all countries, all people. And it's only the understanding of those two things, I think, that can create an idea of how we go forward. We're lucky. We're both sort of proud Welshmen. And we have quite a incredible amount of heritage and history in Wales, and I think we've touched on it before, but it definitely shapes who we are. It shapes us, and we I think it creates that sort of poetic, sort of musical, sort of people and country that we are. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think you're right there, Ross. I just had my 70th birthday. I was born in 1950.
Mm.
And as you know, from Cairo, which is, there were 3 coal mines. And that's where my heritage stems from. Coal mining, family values, neighbours. And it was more so then because it's after the war, after the Second World War, so things were difficult 45 to 50, 55. Things were difficult for everybody. And I think everybody rallied together. And when I was growing up with my brothers and my sister, you could sense that, everywhere you went, everybody knew each other, everybody helped each other. And I think that stood me in good stead going through my life, my career, my schooling, my career.
Mm-hmm.
We were always brought up with values, respect the elderly, be respectful to authority.
Yes.
Be respectful to your parents. If I ever spoke back to them, I can't remember. Hardly ever remember my brothers and sisters talking back to my mother and father. Not like today, perhaps. So yes, heritage is very important, and I think you should always be proud of where you came from. Like when I joined the police force, people used to say to me, other Bobby, where are you from? And I'd say Cairo, and they say, go Maesteg. I said, no, I'm not from Maesteg. I'm from Cairo. And they used to go like this, something like this. Bloody hell, you're from up there, are you? I said, yes. Why? And they couldn't give me any valid reason why they went like this. Ooh, Cairo, because they had no conception of what Cairo was like to grow up in the 50s. It was a fabulous place to grow up in. And I look back very dearly on my childhood. I left there when I was 17, obviously, but that was to pursue my career. But I've never ever forgotten my roots and heritage, and I think it's very important. I don't know whether or not youngsters today have got that sort of feeling. It's like when they used to say about, especially the coal miners, cut them in half and they labour like a stick of rock. Well, I don't think it's like that these days. You know what I mean? People can choose, they can vote for whatever they like. And so, yes, heritage is very important. Welsh, obviously, got to be very proud to be Welsh, you know, and we've got a lot of heritage, a lot of poetry, singing, you know, it's there. We bubble with it, we do. Yeah, heritage, very important.
And there's, I mean, it's poetry, the singing, you're right. I mean, there's also the actors now. I mean, Welsh actors are in everything now, you know, and, you know, I know Matthew Rhys, I think it's Perry Mason, is it, that he's doing at the moment or something like that? So
yeah, he's doing a noir Perry Mason, which is completely different from the original. If you've watched it, I've watched a few episodes. It's not my cup of tea because they've changed the concept of Perry Mason completely. No, I don't think it's a good thing. Yeah, you can change these things, but it's gone very noir, very sort of dark, and it's got Perry Mason, you know, as a young man, you know. And if you've watched the old series, you think, how can that bloke turn into that? Like, but there we are. That's Hollywood. That's TV.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching, you know, looking at Netflix, and you know, the #1 show in the world on Netflix at the moment is Lucifer.
Yeah.
Which is based on the book by Neil Gaiman, but it stars a Welshman.
Yeah.
So Tom Ellis from North Wales, I think Bangor, I think he's from.
Yeah, he's from up north. He is, yeah.
He's on there playing, you know, the devil himself, Lucifer Morningstar.
That's right.
And he's very, as an actor, he's very aware of his Welsh heritage as well. I've seen I saw a brilliant interview with him. I'll tell you quickly, and they asked him if his parents were proud of his success now on Lucifer, and he said, well, I'm not really sure. And so they said, why is that? He said, well, I'm playing Lucifer Morningstar, I'm playing the devil. He said, and I'm the son of a Welsh Baptist minister.
That's right. Yeah, his father's a minister.
Yeah, and so is his uncle, and his mother's always been a minister's wife. So I guess there's kind of a contradiction in terms here between the two.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's you know, it's fantastic. It's great to see so much. You know, Michael Sheen, I think, is a great ambassador for Wales. He's out there doing all sorts as well. You know, and even more locally, you know, and you know, like Rob Brydon is always out there beating the path, and Steve Spears.
Yeah, you mean it's like everything else. You look back to, we go back to school, and like we discussed before. There are kids in school who are not academic. But they've got other traits. You know, some of these kids can play guitar like nobody else, and they've never had no sort of training, basic training. And that's what they want to do. Artists, actors, even. You take Ruth Jones, and you mentioned Rob Brydon. They were taught in Porthcawl Comp, where they are probably the best teacher of the arts, certainly in Wales. He produced many actors. Who are acting today, younger people, you know what I mean? And we've got them coming through now, young actors. There are many young actors who are sort of, and you go back to Lucifer, the actor in Lucifer. He's gone from Miranda to a box office sort of hit. Not that Miranda was a big hit on the telly, but he's done the two. He's traversed the two, and very, very proud. I heard an interview on Radio Wales with him, very proud of his heritage. Always be Welsh. You go then to Anthony Hopkins and people like that, you know what I mean? Very, very Welsh. They'll never ever forget where they were from. And as you know, Anthony Hopkins is a multi-millionaire, so he's got those options anyway.
Sir Tony, as he's known locally.
Sir Tony, yeah. I did a poem for Sir Tony. Yes, I sent that onto the site, the Anthony Hopkins site. They all love him. Loved all over the world. And yes. It's brilliant, it is. You know what I mean? Then you go back to Dylan Thomas, the poet. Then you go to Hedd Wyn, the poet. You can reel them off. You There's so many great people, so many great Welshmen. And when you look into their history, Richard Price, a friend of mine, Bob Price, named his son Richard, not after Richard Price, but his name is Richard Price. And he came on my site and he said, "Can you do one about Richard Price?" I said, "I've already done one of Richard Price." So I give him the link and he goes back to it. And he was like regaled by the founding fathers in America. You know, he basically tutored them. And he's from Llanghaina, which is just up the road. A brilliant, brilliant man. And that's our heritage, you know, and our kids in school should be getting into it and reading about these people and what they brought to the table, because they're fabulous, fabulous individuals.
Yeah, I mean, I remember in school, you know, and I remember doing the Welsh history in school. You know, we did the Tithe War, Rebecca, Merthyr Rising, Chartist in Newport. And, you know, it was just incredible to hear about the people that were involved in Wales through that sort of the 1800s, 1900s, you know, and the changes in Wales during that time. And it was incredible. It was like pulling the roots out, you know, of the country and actually finding out that sort of, you know, some people use that phrase, and the cloth that you're cut from. And I think to be Welsh is a very specific cloth. I think maybe that's why we are such, you know, exceptionally emotional people, and we are patriotic people. And you know, I think it's a wonderful thing to be a Welshman. And you know, and I went off from those. I had those lessons in school. Then I went off and I started reading Alexander Cordell, and you know, and the writers that were writing about that sort of Welsh history and writing faction about it. So you know, fictional books but set during actual times. And you know, it's incredible. There's such a depth of talent and understanding. So yeah, I mean, it's you're right, and your point about how they see things, and how I write. Sorry, I write a fair bit about Georgia, my niece.
Yeah,
because her imagination is vast, and I think that's true in the sense that I think in that sort of quest for expression, as you go through life and as you learn more rules and you have more structure, it boxes things. Whereas as a child, that sort of imagination is completely free. And I write a fair bit, you know, and I'm quite jealous of her. Because I'm a writer, I'm jealous. I want to see what she can see, and I'll do one of the. This hasn't been published yet, but one of the newest poems I've written is called "Boundless and Dazzling," and it's I wrote it. I made the notes of it while I actually sat there watching Georgia draw when I think she was 3.5 when I wrote it. And to her, a squiggle on a page wasn't just a squiggle on a page. That squiggle was a Van Gogh. It was a landscape. It was this incredible thing. And so it's a cruel irony. To me, it's like when I was in Australia and I went to the Great Barrier Reef, right? I've never been any more beautiful in the world, right? Turquoise blue oceans, white sand beaches, 35 degrees, right? Stunning, right? Like paradise on earth, yeah? But you've also got sharks, jellyfish, crocodiles in the sea, you know, or anything that's deadly, spiders, snakes, anything that's deadly lives there, right? So to me, that's cruel irony. That's a cruel irony, right? Because I was driving, I wrote about it. I'll send you the poem. I was driving up the Bruce Highway on the west coast of Australia, and my air conditioning broke down in my car. I had a couple of hours to go. And it was 35 degrees. It was about 90% humidity, right? Horrible leather seats in the car. And I was driving to this place called Airlie Beach. Well, I got into the town. I went through the town like a bullet, down to the beach, slammed the brakes on, out of the car. I'm running down the beach. My shirt's coming off. My shoes are off. I'm just about to dive straight into the water. And then there's this palm tree right on the beach. and on the palm tree there's a big sign that says "Danger, saltwater crocodile." So I couldn't even jump in the ocean. It was a cruel, cruel day.
Yeah.
And I think in this poem, what I tried to sort of express was, to Georgia, it must be the same, because the imagination is boundless, but the actual skill set.
Well, she's got a fertile imagination, hasn't she?
Yeah.
It's untouched.
But the craft hasn't developed enough.
No, it's
So
untouched.
she hasn't enough time to learn to draw brilliantly. So yeah, I'll do this quickly, mate. Then we'll have one of yours.
Yeah.
But this is boundless and dazzling. Again, it's only a short one. Right. Boundless and dazzling, watching Georgia draw, age 3.5. I cannot see what you see, but those opals in your socket show the weight of it. How quickly that paper leaf with scrawl grasped the cloak of Mars, crafted in a single scenescape squiggle by your rattletrap hand. The artistry's in your heart. The craft of fancy completes the concept. But who am I to judge? I have no scope to see as you do. You, who turns air to fire in a single expression, is boundless in cleverness, yet seeks out tribute. I cannot see what you see. The universe is smaller from here. So, yeah, that's that kind of, that jealousy sort of leaking through in my writing, really, because I'd love to be able to have her vision.
So basically what you're saying now, you plagiarising off your niece, are you?
I wouldn't put it quite like that. What do they call it in Hollywood now? It's a reimagining or a reboot. I'm rebooting her work.
But like I said, she's got a fertile imagination. How old is she now?
She's 4 next February.
And you'll see her develop, next 5, 6, 7, and 8, and then if you've got an input into her as well in relation to the writing, etc., you'll see her blossom, won't you?
Oh, I hope so.
It's like a flower, you know what I mean? My two now, Christopher's 40, Karen's 37, and they've gone, they've flown the coop, you know what I mean? But I watched them being nurtured more so by Caroline, because I was in work. And you see them, I see Karen going from a little girl to a woman, to a teen, to being a woman, having a baby now, and that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fabulous to watch and to be part of, obviously.
Yeah.
But that don't come without its sort of problems, or what do you call them? I've been very lucky. I've never had any problems with the kids. But it doesn't come without adversity. There are things, barriers in the way. You don't get it for nothing. You know what I mean? That's the way I see it all. And I feel a little bit sorry for young kids today, the way things are going, this coronavirus, etc., jobs being lost. Where is the future for them? I don't know. But there we are. That's another story, isn't it?
That's the hand that 2020 has dealt us so far,
yeah.
mate.
Well, I'll give you this one. I'm talking about heritage. I wrote this one. It's about an English coal mine, it is, but it could be about any coal mine. Mm-hmm. I picked this one because it was the last deep mine in Britain. It's called Kellingley Colliery. Mm-hmm. It's the last of an era. Kellingley, last of an era. The death knell of mining, a sad, fateful day. No more deep mines. It's the conservative way. The industry killed off by Thatcherites. 450 men, now what of their plight? Hancock, the man who put pay to a culture, he gave no reprieve, like Maggie the vulture. Cheap coal from abroad is the way that they think. No thought for the families, now on the brink. They argued and fought, their pit to save. The beeston seam had years left to give. UK coal would have given 3 more. Hancock ignored this and just slammed the door. The vulture has said, 12 weeks you're worth for coughing and digging in the bowels of the earth. 450 redundant with a stroke of a pen. Grown men crying. what's left for them. I hope in the future the past will return. Mines will reopen, our coal again burn. Coal from abroad is cheap at this time, but will it last? There's no reason or rhyme. Miners of Kenningley, I feel your sorrow and pain. I hope like a phoenix, you will rise up again. To the men and their families, I wish you good cheer. I hope that the future brings solace, not fear. That closed on the 18th of December 2015. It's not a political poem, it's the truth. That mine, and it's the last deep mine in Britain, it had at least 3 or 4 years left of coal. And I think they were promised it was going to stay open, and then with the stroke of a pen, it's closed. 450, 12 weeks redundancy. And his men had been working under there for like 30 odd years. So we mustn't forget that heritage either, because that could be any pit in South Wales. It could be any pit in Scotland. It could be any pit anywhere. And I wrote that for them and I sent it to them. But as I say, it's not a political poem. Thatcher's mentioned in it because it was at that time. It could have been anybody. It could have been any Prime Minister at the time who shut the pits. Labour shutting more pits than a Conservative, so it could have been anybody. But I just tried to put it in the sort of from a miner who worked at his perspective of losing his job, losing his livelihood, given 3 months' pay, and then can't claim no benefits because he got 3 months redundancy. You know what I mean? You got to wait another like 16 weeks or whatever it is before you can get some money. Kids and stuff. You know what I mean? Terrible hard times, and that was for the miners and families for Kellingley.
I mean, you've written it as I mean, it sounds, to me at least, my interpretation, I mean, it comes across as a testimonial.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. I love the way sometimes when I hear what you write and I read your work, and it's and I see there's almost a scene to it. It's almost the you know, like the grandparent explaining to the grandchild sat on his knee, this is what happened, you know, and I think you forge your stories that way, and you know, that's why I think there's so much power in what you write.
Yeah,
but, like that's lovely.
Yeah, thank you very much. You got one?
Yeah, I mean, we got a few. We're going through them today. Look. Well, one of the things for me, especially studying literature in school, you know, Shakespeare was very important, and to me, because I mean, I loved hearing his stories. I loved, you know, Hamlet and Macbeth are two of my favorite plays ever. But I said I had a very enigmatic teacher, you know, who used to bring all these things to life, and and we were studying Henry V. And Henry V, you know, King of England, and you know, a great hero of that land. But what Shakespeare brings through in his play, of course, is what happened at the Battle of Agincourt, and how important the Welsh archers were, and how, you know, we know that the Welsh were really the only ones using the longbow around that time, and we know they were deadly because of that. You know, and Agincourt is known as the day it sort of rained arrows. So what I was writing, I wanted to write something about the longbow, about the actual, because I went and I've had to go a few times, and it hurts. It really hurts. You know, for days. And like all things in me, it forms something else in your head. And you know, I was there, I was firing a few off, and then the following day, I was like, I'm not writing, I can't feel my arm. But I wanted to describe what these archers were going through, and there was a professional archer there. And you could see how much of what he did was muscle memory, and that his body knew what to do, and it was almost subconscious how he aimed and everything he did. It was incredible to watch it. And to me, that formed, and I guess going back to your poem, the action of actually shooting an arrow and hitting a target, to me, that became a parallel with writing a poem, because there's still the same moments of creation and energy and you're still drawing, and but what you actually want to do is actually hit something, and when you see someone, and the first lines of the poem, it talks about the archer aiming, and I was like, well, isn't that what a poet does? Isn't that what a poet does when he takes all the information that he has and that he's given, and then he's got to bring it down to this one little thing that he wants to deliver, And I know you are very religious, for want of a better phrase, with your verses and the number of verses you use, and that's how you tell your stories. And I thought, well, is that any different than launching an arrow?
No.
I don't know. So I wrote this. I called it The Archer. It's as I said, it's about watching someone who's incredibly competent with this weapon. And I think it's a very romantic weapon as well. I think it's an incredible sort of weapon, and there's so much history to it, and we can talk about Robin Hood and all that sort of stuff. But I think the actual art of this is incredible. So this is my description of an archer, not an author, an archer. Yeah, but again, I think what I'm really writing about here is actually the writing of a poem. So, the archer. He has distilled the world to a pin drop, and then, without conscious thought, draws the great line to an ear pinch. His shape, forged in the art of a memory, until there is him and the mark only, aiming by not aiming, free as a marble caster. In unconscious calmness, the first shot looses the self, and then he, the still noctambulant, fires another, launching the cursor with a crack, like an eel tail shaft wiggling and winding, a seeker stretching to the mark. So,
yeah, you're right. It's like you say, he's there aiming, and he wants to hit the target. And I think it's the same with a poem. I write a poem it could be to an individual. All I want that individual to do is read it, and it means something to them. Forget about anybody else, because I'm writing it for the individual. And what I write about the individual has got to be correct. And it's the same as the archer. If he's off an half an inch there, the arrow's gone. He ain't it in nothing. And it's the same with the poem. I think this is why I keep banging on about how we've got to sort of encourage youngsters with poetry, because I think there's been a generation lost, personally, or a couple of generations in relation to poetry. And it's about time now that we sort of try to drag it back a bit. And schools are going to be very important in this, to sort of to bring this to the fore. But like you say, you're right what you say about the arrows and the archer. Yeah,
there's so much, isn't there? I mean, and especially I think there's there's so much to write about. There's so much to write about, and I've tried to bind into books. There's normally a theme that runs through the book that I do. When I did the book Fly Tipping was, I don't endorse fly tipping in any way, shape, or form, but to me it felt like that's what poets do. That they take bits of information and they craft something, and then they kind of publish it, or they kind of throw it away, because then it becomes something to somebody else. One man's treasure is another man's rubbish, and vice versa. So that was kind of what the book Fly Tipping was about. Then I wrote Driftwood, and Driftwood was my analysis of thoughts and how you can't control thoughts. They come when they feel like it. If that's 3 o'clock in the morning, that's 3 o'clock in the morning. If it's like you do, you sat there and all your ideas are there, that's how it works for you. And beacons, beacons again there's a theology to beacons, which is about how life itself is very much about your drive, your meaning, what you bring to it, and then you have free will. But the idea of beacons is that there's there's punctuation points in life that you're going to experience. You are going to have your heart broken. You are going to meet someone, fall in love. You know, you are going to be homesick. You are going to lose someone that you love. All those things are predestined. It's in the human experience, and it's how we react to those, well, beacons, as I call them in the book, is how we sort of map that sort of path through life. So to me, they're like, you know, these mountain fires that can attract you, and they can warm you or they can burn you.
Yeah.
So there's always, you know, a sort of a level of, this is the thought process, and 9 times out of 10, it's more that this is the headspace I'm in while I'm writing this book. But I tend to weave that as a narrative throughout the book, and especially lately with Beacons and with the newer stuff that I write. You know, there's normally, I know in Beacons there's at least 6 poems called Beacons in there, and they're spread throughout the book. And as you come to them, it just explains a little bit more about what the thought process is. But we kind of we get encased in ideas. I do, at least anyway, in thought processes, and you know, it's hard to break away from that, and it's hard to write, for me at least, it's hard to write anything outside of that thought process until I've dealt with it.
I got you.
You know, and there's, you know, and there's like, I've written stuff now to follow it, but I know when I wrote the last poem of Beacons, I knew when I was writing that this is the last poem I will write on this subject. I knew that this is the ending of it, you know, and then that goes away, and then maybe I have another thought or another, you know, concept will come up, and then I go, right, I better deal with this one now, and it starts as a lot of notes on a page.
Yeah.
You know, and eventually they become sort of poems.
Yeah, you know? It's like we're totally different, obviously. You know what I mean? The way we write is totally different. The way I research more. When I say research, it's like the one I did this morning for Chris Wood. You know, I've just read an article about him. I saw it is out of the Newport, whatever it is. It's basically giving his story. It is, and then I got it in my head, and I tried to put myself in his position.
Mm.
You know, when he was in school, he wasn't very academic. He had dyslexia, but he wasn't found out till later on. And I got all this going on in my head, you know, all this thing going on in my head. So basically, I become him. He had numerous jobs. He had 5 or 6 jobs. Then he went to, I think he went to night school and that type of thing, because he loved art. He loved sculpting, that type of thing. And then once he gets his studios off and running, his career takes off, all through his own doing.
Yeah,
I think he had help from the Prince's Trust, that type of thing. But you know, once he took his workshop over, he was 28, so it was 22 years ago, or 22 years ago. This man is renowned all over the world. Yeah. So and his quote about it, you know, be yourself, be yourself. You know, so this boy, I've gone from school at 16 with no qualifications. And now he's renowned the world. He's probably one of the finest carvers and sculptors in the world. So, you know, that's how I do my poetry. Like the Mons thing, I read it, and then I Culloden, you know, that type of thing. You know, you have a look at it, and then you think, right, what was it like? You know, what was it like? What Bonnie Prince Charlie, he left him in the lurch, like, you know, I mean, that type of thing. So that's got to come into the poem somewhere. The Duke killing everybody, just slaughtering people, that's got to come in. And then you just, like you say, you just put it together, and you do your 5 or 6 verses, and you read it, and you alter a little bit, you read it, and say, that's it. But I've got to finish a poem. I have, you know what I mean, and I rarely finish them when I write them. But I must finish a poem. So if I started a poem at 9 o'clock tonight, and I'm up to 3 verses, I have got to finish it. I can't leave it till tomorrow, because it's there and it's got to come out.
I'm more. I'll only finish it if I don't get annoyed with it. If I get annoyed with it, 9 times out of 10. It's thrown across the room.
Oh.
And it can sit there gathering dust until I'm ready to give it another chance. And it's like a friend that spurned me.
A frenzy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
No, it's so, and that's basically the way I write. And it's nice that we can talk like we're talking two different poets. You know what I mean? Because I mentioned you earlier on, you know, in relation to authors, like, I mean, I don't think I could talk to many authors like I'm talking to you. The air would be blue, but let me tell you.
I can imagine. I can imagine.
Oh,
Well, do you wanna give us another one, mate, and then we'll.
It'd be like shooting from the hip.
The OK Corral, is it?
The OK Corral. What's this one here? Oh, that's that. I do a. You're talking about heritage, you know what I mean? I'll do this one. I'm very interested in Victorian mining, obviously, because it's horrendous. Our kids today wouldn't live, I'm telling you now, right? And this one's called Lord Save Me Now, Arglwydd Acheb Fi Nawr. My name is Moses. In the land drift I worked, fire damp and falls, in headings they lurked. A doughboy I was, supplying air for brave men, our fate in God's hands, time and again. The brass vein I worked from morning till night, whilst colliers hewed coal in naked flame light. I often got bored, would play hide and seek, then back to the door with a clip for my cheek. I laughed with the colliers, I respected them all. Without a care in the world, they treated me well. Taught me about life deep underground, brave men and true, their knowledge profound. The explosion, so deafening, came out of the blue. Brave colliers running, a giant fireball ensued. Knocked off my feet, flame got to me first, gasping for air, with my lungs fit to burst. Brave rescuers came without safety or care. Deadly, noxious vapour permeated the air. Brave men lay burning, some taken by gas, bodies retrieved to the surface en masse. Lord, save us now, I heard brave men scream. Then death did befall me, as if all a dream. At 12 years of age, my maker I met. My short life in the drift, you must never forget. And this is this disaster happened in 1875 at Lang Colliery, Gwyler de Garth, 6th of December. Moses Llewellyn, that is, he died in the explosion. So I wrote it as him, obviously, and I read that down at the memorial. They have a memorial every year down there, and I wrote it, and I just sent it to him. They said, "Will you come down and read it?" Which I did. So, you know, I mean, he was 12 years of age, underground, and as you know, in Victorian times, all families were underground, mothers, fathers, and practically all the children. And to die meant nothing, at all.
No, it's quite alarming when you think about the fact that it was just, well, I guess it was a day-to-day thing.
Oh yeah, you mean if a pony got killed, they thought more of the pony than if a man got killed. Simple as that. The owners, because all they were was productivity. They could get another man, but a pony was sort of worth more than the men, like. But that's the coal mining heritage that we've got, and we must never forget it. We must never forget.
No.
12-year-old blokes boys like Moses and 6-year-old kids. That type. We must never ever forget them. And you read that to a 12-year-old now who's got an iPad and the latest gadgets, and you've got this boy 12 underground, morning till night, pulling a trap door open to give men air. It doesn't bear worth thinking about.
No, it's you can't comprehend it, can you?
Oh, you can't. I don't think children would today. No. Yeah,
it's very yeah. I mean, even my generation, my age, no, it's not. You can't comprehend it.
No, you can't. And the more you read into Victorian mining, Christ alive, you know what I mean, brings tears to your eyes, it does.
Oh, harder men.
Unbelievable. But there we are.
Well, I got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is 9 verses. Sorry, Arth.
Is it, be Christ?
So
good God, it's a long one.
have a sip of your cup of tea.
Can you praise it down to about 2?
Yeah. I'll send it over to you now. You can do the abridged version for me. No, I mean with heritage and working men and whatnot. I mean, my thoughts always go to my father. You know, he was a miner, then an engineer. You know, and part of that generation, I think, that just worked. And when he wasn't at work, he was working on the house or working on the garden. You know, because one day when you meet him, ask him the story. My mother saw the house that we grew up in, and she went, "This is the one with potential." You know, and this was what, 35, nearly 40 years ago now, and he's still working on it.
You like Petrocelli on the wall?
Oh, it's my mother. This is great for a year. Then I have to change to this. So one of my memories as a kid is, you know, while I'd be inside doing my homework or whatever, is my father going past with a wheelbarrow. You know, and the wheelbarrow was always full of dirt or whatever he was doing. But there was a sound to it, and there was it's, you know, it's that image of a working man then, because I didn't have the miners really the way that, you know, generations before me had them. We didn't see them walking around the way that they did before. So my work example, my work ethic was my father. So this is the barrow. This is me just remembering.
Squeaky wheel.
Squeaky wheel. This is just me remembering him. So, and him on his barrow. So there we go. In memory, the old man borrowed time, passing beneath my window, always with a hearable huff. Looking down, I watched his sweating head, remember his autumn turning winter to the tick of the barrow wheel. I watched him gulp down mugs, refilling his frame's rind to leak again, setting to nature's mural with his biting spade, carving scenes for window panes to put on view, changing the act old matte portraits held dear. His blue coat, always zipped and closed, arm-ended with paint-dashed gloves, and his back vaulted like a bony dome above the shovel's stem, portioning off old roots to raise the new from dead slim furrows. He lifts the handle high again, the blade's flat gleams in watching sun, and sets to clay, taking hospital corner cuts lined with licorice seams, the slices of his blade cutting long lost roots, buried like old spine husks. The only halt, a ring or bell chime from dirt-choked rocks, who ching and clang against the spade's flint splay flat. But he clears it to the barrow all the same, stopping to mop his now drenched brow, and then back to it, chasing new growth on nature's shabby altar. So
that's lovely, because if you shut your eyes and listen to that, you can actually see him, can you?
Mm.
I can. You know, and that's what I like about poetry. You shut your eyes. Once you listen to it, I can see what you saw.
Mm.
And that's what I like about it. You know what I mean? I read some poetry, like I read 3 or 4 lines, and I think, where's it going? Like, you know, I can't visualize what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I can that, because it's there, isn't it? Wheelbarrow, spade, roots, stones. You know what I mean? It's there. You can touch it. You can feel it. It's good. I like that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like that one.
Right. Well, we have. I think we have hit a time. We might actually be.
We've hit the wall, but have we?
I think for the first time for a while, we've said an hour. We've done an hour.
Yeah, just about. Well done. Yeah. Well done.
So, yeah. So, well, we'll. It's been again, as always.
Yeah.
An absolute pleasure to engage with your psychosis.
So yes, it's nice to do them. It's only thing is we're running out of things to talk about.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know there's lots of people watching them, so maybe just reach out to us if there's something that people want us to.
Yeah, just let us know. We'll talk about anything. Well, I'll talk about anything. You know
Well,
what I mean?
it's hard to stop you most days, isn't it?
Oh yeah, well, you mean mind you, I did the other day, Friday, when I went down to Swans. I couldn't stop a bloke talking. I took him. I said I thought I could talk, Caroline, but OPT Rose talks more than me.
Well, that's what people don't realise. You see, is that when I cut this into shape, right? I've been talking to Arthur Cole for 24 hours straight now, and you don't realise I try and cut this down to an hour.
Look, Caroline does wherever we go. Caroline, she's like dragging me away, like, could I talk to anybody, like, and she goes, "What are you talking to him for now? What are you talking about?" I said, "Well, he just mentioned something, and off we go." Like,
I've got a friend who's exactly like it. He honestly could talk a glass eye to sleep.
Yeah.
He's relentless.
Yeah,
but it's great.
But I'll have to start watching people now and start writing poems about people watching and stuff like that. I think, you know what I mean. Chuck them in.
That mine. You used to be a police.
Oh yeah, thank you very much for that tribute yesterday. It was very, very, very out of the blue, that was.
Well, you're welcome.
Especially on audio. And it's, I know you wrote it a while ago for me, but when you actually listen to it, and I've told you this before, with my poetry, I prefer people to read it. Because I don't like reading it myself, obviously. But when you do listen to a poem that's about you written by somebody else, that's it's like Chris Woods' poem now. I know Washington will pick. Sean Edwards will probably pick it up after, and he'd probably come and say, "Can I do an audio of it?" And I said, "Well, speak to Chris and do it," because he's got that sort of nice voice, and he's from Newport. So yeah. You mean, and that's how things spread, don't they? We're talking about this. The internet is a fabulous thing, to get it out there, basically.
Yes.
I do enjoy it, and I'll probably write something. I'll do the book later on. I'll be doing a couple of chapters on the book later on. So after I have my tea later, so I'll crack on with that. Like, but I'm writing all the time. Like, I mean, it's you're probably the same. Are you? Do you write every day or?
Yeah, I have been the last couple of days. Like I said, I'm working on a book at the moment, which is turning into quite a long book. Now, whether that's because I'm not being regimented enough with my thoughts, or whether that's because this one's just taking a bit more explaining, I don't know. It is starting to sort of come to the end now. I've challenged myself with some new styles. I've started doing like little postcard poems.
Oh, I got you.
And what I'm trying to do is that the poems are called excerpts of postcards from. And I've done one on New York, and I've done one on Kefalonia. And what I've tried to do is, well, if I'm going to talk about a place, describe that place in 5 lines. And I've tried to do that. And so the poem's got about 10 stanzas, but every stanza is a different place. So I'm trying to do all different sort of things like that at the moment, which is exciting and frustrating at the same time. Yeah,
you know what I mean. I've just given 50 poems to a gentleman from Pontypridd, whose daughter passed away with cancer. I think she was about 26, and the Rhian Griffiths memorial it is, but it's all tied up with Velindre cancer care, So I've given him 50. I've sent 50 to him for him to look at, and obviously if he likes them, I said you can have them and make a book of them. Tell him a book, and you can have that for your fund. And basically, if you've got, I think they've got 8,000 members,
right,
at the minute, plus the ones he's got on Rhian's site. So if I don't know how much a book costs for the printer to produce, but they could make a few bob off it, like, you know what I mean, which is
usually make some nice money off that if they get on with it.
Yeah, because people will buy it, as you know, if it's like anything, any charity, and the money goes direct. It's like with my birthday money on the Facebook. I know for a fact it goes direct to Velindre. There's no Facebook send it straight. It was nearly £500, I think it was, and the next minute I get a letter off Velindre saying, "Well, thank you very much for the donation." So that's good, because A lot of charities, as you know, you can give them £1,000 and the charity actually sees about 50 quid, like, you know what I mean? Once all the admin costs are taken out of everything.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit wary of a lot of charities where the money actually goes, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, a lot of them now, I think they're so heavily staffed.
Yeah.
You know, and, I mean, if you, and I've seen reports, I don't know if they're true, but there's people running these charities taking home over £100,000 a year.
Yeah. Oh, it's a fact.
Well, if you're going to do that, then you're not in the right job, because that's not what the job is about.
It's obscene, it is. You know what I mean, to take money like that. But there we are. So that's a little project. But I leave Wayne do all that. You know, he sort the printer out and you have it printed up like our books, and just knock it out like. The money, carry on like. Happy days.
Well,
but
like I said, if you need anything from me, an introduction for it.
Yeah, we spoke about it. But so I don't think I'll be doing any more sort of books as such. I'll just write the poems, put them on my page, and share them with everybody. And if it's for an individual, I tell them, it's your poem, you can do like with it. You know what I mean? Frame it. You do this yours. It's you know it's like a throwaway poem, isn't it? Happy days, like.
You're a gift. You just give it.
It's like when me and Nigel start writing the books with the money. You know what I mean? I never thought it'd have royalties of books I wrote. You know what I mean? Nothing really. You know what I mean? But the more you delve into the publication business and the TV business, and it's all about a profit.
It is.
At the end of the day, so
that's not what we got into before, is it? That's the thing. I mean, I didn't start this to make money.
No, I didn't either. No.
I
mean, if you said to me 4 years ago, you'd have 3 poetry books published, you'd have 10 thrillers and 2 in the pipeline, I'd say, I'm afraid to, but pull the other one, you got bells on, because I don't even know how to write.
Apparently you do.
But we go back, like we say, about developing young kids. You know what I mean? If you can get them young enough, Christ, in 3 or 4 or 5 years' time, like they'd be brilliant, like, absolutely.
Well, yeah. There's also that, I think, it's like, to me, it's like learning a musical instrument. There's a power to expression. It can be a very therapeutic thing. It can be a very empowering thing. You know, so if you're going to express yourself in a positive way, like writing something, painting something, playing something, then that's a nice thing for you to put your energy into.
I think so, yeah.
So
and as you get older, it also goes your brain. You know, it keeps the old brain going, the old brain cells going as well. See?
Yeah.
There's only so much Emmerdale and Coronation you can watch, and daytime telly. See?
Yeah, well, be better writers than those guys. That's the bare minimum.
Oh.
No, it is. I mean, it's one of the things I wrote about early on, and when I tried to describe what I thought it was all about, when I sort of looked at the meaning of life or the meaning of self, at least, and you know, and I believe it. I came up with the line, and I wrote it in. It's in one of the books. I think it's in Fly Tipping. Is that actually everything you do, you should do your best to become a story that somebody would want to tell. And I think that's the wonderful thing about, you know, these books. And I mean, especially for you, I mean, you're your grandfather, and there's that legacy, and you know, the generations that follow, they'll always have a part of you in that book, you know, and it's not just a picture or a video on a phone, or you know, it's a book, and they can read that and go, well, this is, you know, my ancestor. This is how he thought. This is what he created. You know, so it is leaving a shard of yourself, you know, for the generations to come. I think, and I mean, they may read it and go, wouldn't have liked it.
What a load of rubbish.
But it's there, isn't it? And it's a powerful thing.
I'm writing my own eulogy as well. I've already started it.
Okay.
I'll have to have 3 hours up the creme. I will.
Well, did you find something to rhyme with prolific lover?
So whoever I've got to read it,
Yeah.
he's going to be there a long time.
Good. Good.
It's like that when you go to these to the crematoriums and and the eulogies are coming in, and you like us up the back going, oh, when's he going to stop? I've said to Caroline, if I go before, I said, look, don't have anybody up and stand up for 40 minutes talking about me. Just say, happy days, he's a nice fella, happy days, blah, 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 bye-bye.
Surely the fact that you're there means that you were like, I mean, I wouldn't go to somebody's funeral if I didn't like them. So to go in a room, because you know me, I can get a bit prickly at times. Right? I don't like being told things I already know.
That's right.
Like, I know he's a nice bloke. That's why I come.
That's right.
And also, I don't need you to tell me.
That's right. That's right. Like, people ring me up. Yeah, I've been finishing the police now for, oh, Christ, it was 1997. 23 years, isn't it?
Mm.
My phone will ring. Somebody go, Arthur, oh, I was going, but all right, I haven't used for a long time now. What's him's dead? And they give me the name. I go, what are you ringing me for? What I didn't like the bloke. When's his funeral? Oh, next Friday. I won't be there. And then he'll ring me about somebody else, won't he? Ross, what? And then I go, what time's the funeral? 2 o'clock. I'll be there. That's all he want, like, you know what I mean? And
you go the full Windsor Davis, do you then? Oh, how sad, how terrible, bye-bye.
But I went to one funeral. Lovely fella, fabulous bloke, fabulous boss, lovely man, family man. And one of his old supers did the eulogy. What he was talking about himself, it's terrible it was. Me sat at the back when I guess, he's talking about himself.
Oh, that's how Donald Trump would have done it.
And he went on. And I was going, oh, Neil, when's he going to stop? Please. And that's funerals, isn't it? You could write a poem about it, couldn't you?
I probably have somewhere. Have.
It's like that Max Boyce thing, and when he's at the graveside talking to the gravestone, and they what's the trouble, Pat? And he said, "Oh, it's your wife, is it?" No, he said, "It's her first husband." Something like that. And Max Boyce going, "Oh, you should have told me about it." Brilliant. But no, there we are. Anyway, nice to talk to you, Ross.
Yes, and you, buddy. I will speak to you soon, and we'll do this again very soon. Yeah, we'll pick something, or you like I say, because you do your own podcast, don't you? And you haven't done one of them for a while, man, have you? No, I haven't. I enjoy talking to you too much. Oh God alive! Well, you're the only one, but mate, that's how sad my life is, right? Caroline's upstairs. Can you hear her on the quilting machine? I'm going. She goes. I said, take the phone. Take the phone, love, in case it rings when we're talking. Yeah. Don't be disturbed. Don't be disturbed. No, but, we'll do it again soon now, pal. Yeah, we'll pick something, or your mates, if they got anything. It's like when I do those ones I do, and I read. I haven't done any for ages. I got to do some YouTube ones now to put on the YouTube channel. But well, I mean, if anybody's watching and has a subject they want to give us, we'll happily do it. And don't worry about us, because we've got Arthur Cole and he can write the poem in 5 minutes anyway. Yeah, that's right. So we'll always look ready. Yeah, we're ready. We're always ready to rock, as they say. But there we are. Anyway, all right, pal. Regards to Nat. Same. And take care of yourself. Speak to you soon, pal. Thank you very much, Ross. Ta-ra, buddy. Ta-ra, bye. Ta-ra, bye.